The second episode of Black Mirror, titled 15 Million Merits, centers around a man named Bing. No, not the web browser. And he lives in a society where there exists a universal currency named merits. To earn these merits, you must cycle on exercise bikes. On top of that, advertisements are intrusive and cannot be ignored. One day, he overhears a fellow cycler named Abby singing in the bathroom and discovers that she has a very beautiful voice. He decides to help her try out for an American Idol type show titled Hot Shot. Saying any more would ruin the episode for anyone who hasn't yet seen it. For my quick review, I would say that this is a fantastic episode. It shows off Black Mirror's themes and messages of a potential future, and in my opinion, it's the best episode in Season 1 and one of my personal top 5. It's a great episode with charm and tragedy, and I recommend it 100%. And now for the more in-depth review. This episode really got to me, and I'll tell you why. The world building and the universe that this episode presents is absolutely genius. The idea of living your entire life being surrounded by ads is a very scary and realistic one. Think about it. How often are you surrounded by ads? Billboards, newspapers, sides of buses, your phones, television? Hell, even this YouTube video probably had an ad slapped onto it. Imagine a world where in order to skip an ad, you'd have to pay 10 cents. That's the world presented in this episode. On top of the non-stop flow of ads, this dystopian society also values the physically fit and healthy. They quite literally power the world and consume these ads and television shows, so they're seen on a higher level than, say, the obese, who are treated like dirt and constantly made fun of. They are the target of demeaning game shows where they are attacked with food and water constantly. They are heckled from the people that ride the bikes and are looked down upon. This episode is amazing to me and my personal favorite of the season because it's the only episode where I felt like I desperately needed to know about the world it presented. Where are they? What happened to the world? Are they on like a spaceship or something? Who's running this dystopia? These are questions that are presented within the first 15 to 20 minutes of the episode. It also has a pretty ironic tragedy to top off how great this episode is. Abby's audition on Hot Shot goes tremendously well and the audience loves her. But unfortunately, the judges call her performance good, but not unique. So she gets an offer from a really sleazy judge to do pornographic content instead. A few minutes before she went on stage, she drank a liquid that was called Compliance. If you don't know what Compliance is basically a drink that drugs you and makes you follow along with whatever the judges say, and you agree to do things whether you want to or not. After some peer pressure, Abby reluctantly accepts the offer, and it ruins the only thing that Bing had ever loved, the only thing that ever felt real to him. In a rage, Bing destroys his room and begins practicing a really shaky dance routine. All he wants to do is get to those judges and rip their heads off. Before Bing heads out on stage, he's told to drink Compliance. Earlier in the episode, he kept the carton that Abby drank, so he had an excuse not to drink any, as he tells the lady that he already had some. During his performance, he breaks down and goes on this huge rant about how these judges sit upon their thrones, looking down on people, bringing their hopes up and destroying them while ruining their lives. Yet they remain at the top, looking forward to doing it again and not even thinking about those whose lives they've ruined. Bing says this towards the Hot Shot judges, and while watching it, you feel like it fits them perfectly. But as the episode concludes, you slowly start to realize that it can also apply to Bing. The Simon Cowell type judge really digs Bing's energy and offers him a show. He says that realness and passion is lacking nowadays, and he could rant about the newest things going on as people watch on. The tragic thing is that Bing accepts the show without even drinking Compliance, taking his once angry and passionate rant and turning it into something boring and corporate. Hell, you can even compare the two. On stage, he's sweating and he's angry, he's about to cry, he's breaking down, he's extremely serious about cutting his own throat open. And then when you cut to the more corporate version of him, he's very calm and collected. He's barely ranting about anything and he's flimsily holding the piece of glass to his neck. Most viewers know he's not going to do it and he's going to be back next week. Whereas on stage, he had this kind of unpredictable fire to him. You were really wondering if he was actually going to slit his throat after he said what he wanted to say. It's just a damn shame to see such a passionate fire be diminished by these judges, continuing this cycle of boringness and monotony in this society. And now for Bing's rant and how it actually applies to him as well. Bing was getting tired and bored of the autonomy of the world. He didn't see any point to buying anything for his avatar. He just found himself mindlessly cycling his life away. Once he saw Abby, he saw something extraordinary in her singing ability, so he goes all in with it and blows 15 million merits on her, raising her hopes and making her think that she's got a chance, only for them to get torn down by those judges, ruining her life, forever drugged out of her mind doing pornography. While Bing, with the intent originally to avenge Abby, tries out for hotshots and improves his own quality of life while destroying a girl who was doing just fine with how she was living before. Overall, 15 Million Merits is an incredible episode, and it's easily my favorite of Season 1. It has all these layers of tragedy, romance, and some really cute music. I definitely recommend this one.